Congratulations on the film, though. I mean, especially as you know, you co-wrote it, you
I
directed,
wrote it.
you
I
wrote
wrote it
it,
alone.
you wrote it alone. Even bigger.
Yeah.
Your first feature as a director did quite well at Sundance, so I'm told. So I mean, the whole thing is a huge achievement for you. I was
That's what I
talking,
heard.
I was talking to Anna, who of course plays the nanny of the title, a little bit earlier, and she was telling me how it was quite a personal story for her. But I gather it's also a personal story for you as well. Can tell me some more about that?
Okay, so my mother, growing up, I'm first gen American. My mother's Sierra Leonean. My family's from Sierra Leone, West Africa. I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. And growing up, my mother did some domestic work. I always want to make it clear that she did other things. Like she owned a business, she self-published two novels. She was very ambitious and continues to be. But domestic work is one of the more consistent forms of work for immigrant women and Black American women. And Black women, I think globally, it's one of the more accessible forms of work, but it's a form of work that goes unnoticed and is made very invisible, even though these women are literally sustaining systems and societies. And so I wanted to center women like my mom. And so, in that regard, it is a very personal story, but I didn't want to tell a straightforward drama. There's a lot of horror elements about the pursuit of the American dream and the pursuit of the Western dream. And I knew I wanted to incorporate West African folklore as well. So all of these things came together, and over the course of around 8-ish years, starting, stopping, making other stuff, living life, I finally finished a draft that got financing, and here we are.
So you mentioned you've sort of set it in a horror context, and you're dealing with a social issue as well. And there seem to be quite a lot of horror films that actually have this sort of social element. I wondered why you thought horror was a genre that actually was particularly effective at doing that.
I love horror, first of all. I love dark genres. I love thriller, horror, mystery, psychosexual thrillers. I love that whole range of stuff. And the filmmakers I admire, like Lynn Ramsey, she's not an outright horror director, but she does the darker genres really well. Park Chan-wook, the list is long. They make work that feels like cross-genre work. And if I'm being honest, I think Nanny is a cross-genre, darker genre. But I love that people are seeing the horror elements, because for so many of us, this life does feel like an ongoing horror film. And so for someone like Aisha, who's pursuing this dream as a Black woman, as an African woman, there are a lot of systemic issues that she's navigating. But it's more interesting to me to evoke that through horror, because it's fun to execute. I can play with the sensory experiences of sound, of color, of what she sees and what she feels. So it's a great way, I think, to externalize an interior conflict in a protagonist like Aisha.
And Anna, who plays Aisha, is terrific in the role. I mean, she's hardly ever off the screen. I gather she was actually quite keen to get the role, or so she told me earlier on. Why, from your perspective, was she so right for the part?
Well, one, she's so mesmerizing to watch, and that's important to me. And two, authenticity is important to me. I wanted someone who was West African, someone who I didn't know until after I cast her that her own mother had done domestic work as well. So we had a lot in common. And I think that she's gorgeous, she's smart, she's committed, she's hardworking. She went through the process. Like, she could have easily said, her team could have easily said offer only, which is some of what we got with some of the other actresses who were put on the table. But Anna did the process. Like, she truly auditioned. Not only did she audition, but she did chemistry auditions with the other roles.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I paired
Yeah.
her with the Maliks, I paired her with the Roses, I paired her with the, you know, the Adams, and she was down to do it all. And so that showed me that this was someone who would be able to handle anything I threw at her on set.
Well, it certainly looks like that on screen, because it's a
Thank
terrific
you.
film. I wish we'd got more time to talk, but you know how it
Oh,
goes. But
you know
thank you
what? I
so much
hope.
for your time. It's
Thank
lovely to
you.
meet you.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much indeed.